As we wrap up the course, let's focus on a skill set that's increasingly non-negotiable as for any leader navigating crises in our volatile 21st century. And that's the ability to lead strategically, adaptively, and with unwavering integrity. Let's start with strategy. Strategic leadership means seeing the bigger picture, not getting lost in the fog of war or the crisis, but being able to balance both long term and short term objectives and requirements, and being able to align your resources and fellow actors toward those clear goals while anticipating any second and third order repercussions. Take COVID-19 pandemic as a recent example. Countries like New Zealand demonstrated strategic foresight by acting decisively. They closed their borders, they ramped up testing, and they communicated very clearly with the public about a national plan. Meanwhile, leaders in other countries lurch from one policy to another, one political message to another, eroding public trust and really prolonging the impacts of the pandemic. But strategy alone is insufficient in today's interconnected, rich landscape. Crises rarely unfold in neat, predictable ways. They cascade, they amplify across sectors. That's where adaptive leadership comes in. Consider Ukraine's response to the 2022 Russia invasion. Okay, both national and local leaders had to pivot daily, responding to kinetic threats, managing mass displacement, sustaining digital governance, and mobilizing global aid networks. Adaptive leadership is about continuous learning, rapid feedback loops, and distributed decision making. It recognizes that plans must evolve as conditions change. However, even the most brilliant strategy and the most agile adaptation can be undone by a deficit of integrity. This is a challenge we face today. Integrity really anchors leadership in trust and legitimacy. In 2023, after devastating earthquakes in both Turkey and Syria, the international response highlighted the cost of eroded institutional trust. In many parts of both countries, decades of political fragmentation and corruption meant communities distrusted officials and their messaging. It impeded the delivery of vital life-saving aid and information. The same dynamic could be seen in last year's response to Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Both situations, local leaders and civil society groups that maintained transparent processes and demonstrated moral courage often became the de facto trusted actors, ensuring aid reached those in need. So, what does that mean for you as future leaders and future crisis managers? First, strategic leadership demands that you understand and practice systemic thinking. Crises don't respect neat silos. Okay, they're complex, they're dynamic. Second, adaptive leadership demands humility and openness to frontline engagement, embracing the empowerment of multiple sectors in solving problems in real time. And finally, integrity must not be treated as an optional extra. In high stakes, high pressure contexts, ethical shortcuts can seem expedient, but often produce lasting damage to public confidence and institutional legitimacy. So I urge you to think of strategic, adaptive, and ethical leadership not as separate competencies, but as mutually reinforcing dynamics. Strategy gives you direction, adaptation gives you relevance, and integrity earns you the trust that makes both possible. Crises of the 21st century, whether pandemics, climate shocks, or conflict, will test all three. How well you embody them will shape not only operational outcomes, but the social contract between leaders and the communities they serve.